أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله والسلام عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بالإحسان إلى يوم القيامة. يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My subject of today is as-sadaqah, philanthropy, charity, and the importance of it and the merits of it. I want to speak firstly about the concept of as-sadaqah. The word as-sadaqah and the word sidq, which means honesty, they come from the same root word in the Arabic language. So when you give sadaqah, you're giving the truest version of yourself. You're giving the most apparent, the most upfront version of yourself. So when we think about giving sadaqah, basically the point is to give the best of what we have to offer others. That's the true meaning of a sadaqah. We give the purest, the most pristine of our disposal, of our resources. And let's take it back to the story of Adam alayhi salam pertaining to the conflict between his two sons, Qabil and Habil, Cain and Abel. And to settle this dispute, I won't get at length into the dispute because it's a very lengthy subject, but I'll just speak about what Allah decided to do about the conflict between Habil and Qabil. So Allah sent Adam, peace be upon him, instructions to Cain and Abel how to resolve their issue between each other. And Allah had commanded them to give a sadaqah, to give charity, to give sacrifice to Allah, Allah had commanded them to give sacrifice. So at this time they were in the valley of Becca, which we now know as the Hijaz, Mecca. But before Mecca was Mecca, it was just Becca, this valley. And there was an altar that Allah had commanded Adam alayhi salam to construct. So at this altar, Adam alayhi salam, relative to the instructions that Allah gave him, he commanded both Qabil and Habil to give a sacrifice to Allah, to give a sadaqah to Allah. So Qabil was a farmer. He dealt with sowing the seeds, tilling the soil, harvesting crops, what have you. But the sadaqah of Qabil wasn't a true sadaqah because he purposely was lazy about what he gave to Allah. He purposely chose to not give the best quality of his harvest. So he presented the worst of his yieldings as a sacrifice to Allah. And again, keep in mind that he knew for a fact that this was a direct sacrifice for Allah to Allah. And yet he still rebelliously gave the worst of the sacrifice. On the contrary, Habil, he was an agrarian. He was a shepherd. And I'm sorry, that's kind of an oxymoron. Both of them were agrarian. I'm sorry, but Qabil dealt with Qabil dealt with harvesting crops, and Habil dealt with livestock. So Habil had chosen the youngest and the strongest and the healthiest sheep or lamb that he could find from his livestock, and he gave that as a sacrifice to Allah. And this was a true sadaqah because he purposely made sure that he gave the best out of what he had. So this is just a good comparison to what a sadaqah truly means. Now, most of the time, when we speak about sadaqah, we only speak about sadaqah in terms of a monetary context, in terms of money. Now, obviously, we know monies are important, right? Money is very instrumental in our lives. We need money for basically everything. At the same time, I want to focus on a different type of sadaqah that most of us really don't pay attention to. And that is what I call sadaqatul islah, the charity of goodwill. And Allah speaks about this directly in the Quran, chapter 11, verse 88. Allah mentions the story of Shu'aib, Jethro, alayhi salam, and when he is ministering, when he is giving revelation, he is teaching his people, the people of Midian, and he tells them about how they dispute with each other. And he says to them, Allah quotes him in the Quran, Allah says, I only want for you al-islah. I only want for you goodwill. Positive communication, positive relations with each other. So from that time to this time, something that we can learn from that is pertaining to how we treat each other in terms of al-khuluq al-adab, character and behavior. And I'll mention two stories pertaining to this. The first story is something that happened 2 weeks ago where I had a conversation with someone, a Muslim, and they mentioned something that, and it's still to this day, it weighs heavy on my mind and my heart. And he mentioned that he had a dispute with a fellow Muslim, and I could see in the person's face how negatively it affected this person. And as he's telling me this story, and obviously I'm only hearing his side of the story, I don't know the other person's side of the story, I don't know what really happened, because there's three sides to a story. Side A, side B, what really happened. Only Allah knows what really happened in the situation, and only those involved in the situation know what really happened. And then also, just instinctively as human beings, most of us don't have the izzah, the integrity to tell what really happened. Most of us, regardless of whether we're right or wrong, we're only going to tell our side of the story as opposed to what really happened. So be that as it may, this person told me their side of the story, and I can't prove that they're being untruthful or dishonest, so I'm just taking them at their word. So the person is telling me the story, and I could see in the person's face their body language. And knowing someone's body language is really important because in my field specifically as a chaplain, I study human behavior, behavioral science, and from a human behavioral perspective, 80% of human communication is nonverbal. So when you look at a person, oftentimes our body language doesn't automatically match what we say or what we claim, or let's say, for example, if we claim to respect a person or we claim to love a person, our body language says something very different. So with that being said, this person telling their story, it affected me because I know this person and I also know the person that they were talking about. And they mentioned the person by name. And it was hurtful hearing this person say that they have a conflict with this person. And like I said, I know both of these persons. So it's my hope that number one, that Allah allows both of them to settle whatever differences that they have with each other and that they establish al-islah, goodwill between each other. And then the second story that I'm going to speak about, also a Muslim, this happened 2 days ago. And I'm walking down the street, I'm on my way to a masjid, and I see the person in the street, and they were having a very intense argument with a person. But when they saw me, they gave me the tasneem, I returned the tasneem, and immediately he sparks a conversation with me. And I can see in his face, his tempo, his posture, it started to change in a positive way. It was a mood shift in a positive way. And he literally said to me word for word, he said, "I'm so happy that I saw you. I needed your positive energy." So those of us who are Muslim, right? One of the things that Allah has made us as shuhada for humanity. Allah has made us witnesses for humanity. And one of the ways that we ought to be shuhada is to provide al-islah, positive energy towards other people. Just as Muhammad, peace be upon him, he mentioned, he said, the Muslim are those who protect other Muslims from the negativity of our speech and our actions. And he said, the believer are those who secure the lives and properties of other people. So with this statement of the Prophet ﷺ, is that it's very important for us as Muslims that we give off al-islah, positive energy to people. Because we are supposed to be the ambassadors of al-Islam to humanity, not just to fellow Muslims, but to humanity as a whole. And when people confront us and when people engage us as Muslims, they should always walk away from us better than they left us. That's really like the sales point, right? And this is the type of sadaqah that I'm referring to. The sadaqah of al-islah, the charity of goodwill. Anytime we are engaging with anyone, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, they should walk away from us better people than they were when they first engaged us, or before they engaged us. We should humanly impart to them goodwill so that it empowers them to be a better person. That's the type of effect that the Muslim is supposed to have upon all of humanity, whether we're Muslim or not. Any type of engagement, any type of interaction that we have with any human being, it's supposed to be a positive engagement. It's supposed to be a positive occurrence. Anytime we engage a non-Muslim or a Muslim, they're supposed to be able to walk away from us better than before we interacted with them. And it doesn't matter whether it's only a 5-minute interaction and we never see the person again a day in our lives. We're supposed to have that type of positive impression on people. That's the type of effect that we're supposed to have on people. Unfortunately, we don't always have that positive effect on people. And that's something that we have to regulate and check within ourselves pertaining to how we treat people. Because again, going back to what the Prophet mentioned, he said the true Muslim are those who protect other people from the evil of our tongue and the evil of our hands, the negativity of our speech and the negativity of our actions. This is the khuluq, this is the adab of the Muslim. This is the character, this is the behavior of the Muslim. And in fact, this is a form of sadaqah, this is the form of charity. Because we know that anything good that we do for for another human being or another creation is an act of sadaqah. Just like Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, even a smile is a form of charity. Even smiling at someone is a form of sadaqah. And not one of those fake smiles that you just go along and get along like. No, I'm talking about something genuine, something real, something that you really deeply feel within your mind and your heart, and you make a clear decision that I'm going to be a positive person, that I'm going to show Islam to another human being. And then also what Allah mentions in Surah Al-Ma'idah, when Allah says in chapter 5, verse 8, Allah says, and never let your hatred against any people prevent you from behaving justly. So even if we were confronted by people we hate, even Islamically still, we're obligated to present al-islah, positive energy. And that's obviously, that's not something easy to do if you hate someone. It's not easy for you to present al-islah, positive energy to someone you have beef with, someone you have fitna with, someone you have problems with. That's not an easy thing. But it's still something necessary for us as Muslims to do. And obviously, I'm not sitting here on high claiming that that's something easy to do. It's not. I've been in plenty of situations where I've literally wanted to punch people in the face. But I knew that was the wrong thing to do. I knew that I was still Islamically obligated to present myself with al-islah, positive energy. And I'm sure we've all been in those I want to punch somebody in the face situations. We've all had those situations. But we have to be of those who provide al-islah, positive energy. Even if positive energy isn't given to us, we still have to try to be of those who present al-islah to other people. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. إن الحمد لله رب العالمين وكفى والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم المصطفى وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعه لا هدى لنا إلا هدانا الله. So before I start the second part of the khutbah, I have some announcements, some weekly announcements. Every Friday at here at Ibn Sina, there's a youth program from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Also, there's a second khutbah for youth at Dar Da'wah at 3 p.m. And we will be making Salat al-Asr after the 2:15 adhan, after Jum'ah. And also, please do all of you can to donate to Ibn Sina. And also, there is an Ibn Sina fundraiser event this Saturday from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So if you can make it out, please make it out. Please support the event. They want the money set up, so make sure you have your wallets ready. So, going back to what I mentioned about the sadaqah of Islam, I'm sure that all of us can dig through our memory banks of situations or conflicts or just simple day-to-day engagements that we have with people, whether it be our family members, our relatives, situations on the train, somebody bump you, or somebody's trying to rush in or out the train. All of these day-to-day situations that people all around the world experience, particularly here like in New York City. So I just want all of us to think about how we show up in the world with other people. I just want us to really reflect on how much Islam, how much goodwill, how much positive energy are we actually putting out to the world? How much Islam are we actually granting other people, giving other people, showing other people? Because again, this Islam, it counts as a sadaqah. And again, just as Muhammad, peace be upon him, mentioned that even a smile is sadaqah, right? So this smile, it's a sifa, it's a manifestation of al-islah, positive energy, goodwill. And something very keenly important that Muhammad, peace be upon him, mentioned about as-sadaqah, he said, charity, he said, as-sadaqah extinguishes sins just like water extinguishes fire. So that literally means that anytime we give a sadaqah in any form, it is something that Allah uses to erase sins from our hisab, from our record. So that means that us as Muslims, we are mafrood, we are Islamically obligated to be giving of sadaqah any and every chance we get, regardless of whether it's money, regardless of whether it's a good word, regardless of whether it's standing up for justice against a dhulm, oppression. It doesn't matter what type of sifat, what type of manifestation of a sadaqah it is. We as Muslims are obligated to give sadaqah 24/7, 7 days a week, no breaks. This is our calling. This is our maslahah. This is our purpose as Muslims, to be ahlul sadaqah, to be the people of philanthropy, the people of charity, to be ahlul islah, to be the people of positive energy, the people of goodwill. This is our faridah, this is our mandate that Allah has placed upon us, among many other fara'id, among many other obligations. This is a particular obligation that Allah has set upon us to be ambassadors of goodwill, to be manifestations of goodwill. But we have to think about how often do we actually do that. We should actually test ourselves and challenge ourselves. When was the last time that I provided islah to another person, whether they're Muslim or not? When was the last time? When's the last time that I presented myself in a way that embodies and emanates goodwill towards another person, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim? When's the last time that I've done that? We have to challenge ourselves. We have to ask ourselves, when's the last time I've been a nice person? When's the last time I've been a good person to anyone? When's the last time I've smiled at someone? When's the last time that I've helped someone in need? When's the last time that I've been with someone and helped them during a crisis? Now for me, selfishly, this is something easy for me to do because I'm a chaplain, I'm a counselor, I'm a therapist. So I literally get paid to give islah to people. So that's easy for me to do, right? But for other people who this is not your job description necessarily, we have to ask ourselves those questions. When's the last time I've been a good person to anyone? When's the last time someone walked away from me better than before they even met me, or before they even engaged me, or before they even interacted with me? These are the questions, these are the masail, these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. And after asking ourselves those questions, depending on the answers, we have a lot of work to do. And all of us have a lot of work to do, because none of us are perfect. Because al-ihsan, perfection, is only for Allah. We know that only Allah is al-muhsin, only Allah is the perfect, right? At the same time, we have an obligation to commit ourselves to what is known as a tahseen, improvement, evolution, betterment. We have an obligation to pursue a tahseen, improvement. So this is one of the ways that we can achieve that. This is one of the ways that we can achieve self-improvement, self-betterment, evolution, is by purposely and consciously working towards being a better person. Because being a better person, being a good person is important. It's important as a Muslim to be a good person. And this is something that people don't really focus on. It's actually really important to be a good person as a Muslim. It's really important. Because we know that there's so many merits and benefits of being a good person. And then likewise, we know that being a negative person, being a bad person, is something that is hateful in the eyes of Allah, in the sight of Allah. So because we know those two things, it's really important for us to really work diligently to be a positive person, to be a good person. For example, if you were to survey any of the people who you know, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, how many of them would say that we're good people? How many of them would actually say, this person is a good person? That's something that we should ask ourselves. Out of all of the people that we know, and if you were to survey them, if you were to ask them, is fulan, is so-and-so a good person? Is so-and-so a positive person? What would our results be? Would it be 5% of people who say we are good people? 10%? 20%? 100%? 90%? 80%? 70%? What percentage would it be? That's something we all have to ask ourselves. What percentage of people we know or that we interact with, what percentage of these people would actually say or can actually say, fulan is a positive person, so-and-so is a positive person, fulan is a good person, so-and-so is a good person? How many people do we actually know that can say that about us? That's something really important for us to always reflect upon. The fact that it's important for us to be good people. And not to impress people, we're being good people for Allah. That's number one, that's utmost. And then being a good person is one of the best ways to draw people to al-Islam. And this is why we know that the Anbiya, the prophetic individuals, the prophets and the messengers, alayhi salam ajma'in, peace be upon them all together, this is one of the reasons how and why they were able to be so successful in their risalat, and their missions, because they had the best character. Because in spite of the opposition that they had from people, in spite of the Islamophobia that they faced, in spite of all of the heartache and the hardships that people put them through, none of their adversaries could ever say that these people are bad people, that these people are negative people, regardless of how vehemently against the Anbiya they were. None of them could ever say, this person has horrible character as a prophet. This person has degenerate character as a prophet. Because even they themselves knew that those would be lies. Like, for example, the pagan Arabs during the lifetime of Muhammad, peace be upon him, when they were trying to think of lies to tell about him, they were literally arguing among each other. They was like, yo, that's not going to work because people know that's not true. This is not going to work because people know that's not true. That's not going to work because people know that's not true. It took them so much work to try to even make up a lie against Muhammad, peace be upon him, because they knew that any lie that they said, regardless of the agenda that they were pushing, they knew people were not going to take them seriously, because it's like, how could you have anything negative to say about Muhammad alayhi salam? And this was even before Allah imposed an-nubuwwah upon him. This was even before Allah imposed prophecy, prophethood upon him. Even before he became a Nabi, a prophetic individual, he was known as being the best amongst the people. So how can you not say that the best amongst the people is a good person or has good character? That's the type of effect that we're supposed to have on all people. Whether they're Muslim or not, whether they love us or hate us, whether they disagree with us or agree with us, whether they like us or dislike us, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how someone views us, we're supposed to have those types of positive effects upon the people. So we ask Allah to make us of those who manifest al-islah, positive energy to people. We ask Allah to make us of those who constantly provide al-islah for people. We ask Allah to make us of those who, when people see us and look at us and engage with us, that we are always people who people can say, we are good people. We are positive people. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأقيموا الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي.
صلاة العصر رأيت وهي أحسن الجمعة. صلاة العصر خير بعد صلاة الجمعة. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة، الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله. ما تنساش أخونا الإمام محمود
Straighten the rows, don't leave any gaps. If you have a phone, please turn it off so it doesn't disturb you or anyone else while we're praying. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. For those who have questions about the way we pray Asr Susoon, it's